Hey everybody, this is the Geeky Gamer Podcast. We do this every Monday at exactly 3 p.m.
It's not
Eastern.
Monday.
Thursday at exactly 3 p.m. Eastern. I pay a lot of attention to the open. You can tell I'm not using a teleprompter today. Yeah, it's a new year. It's a new day. Hosted by Ken and Phil. Music by all lowercase letters, Mr. Interrupt, as well as Couchfire Media does all the production.
Couchfire Media.
Trois Replay Productions does everything else. And I was gonna cuss, but I didn't want to.
I'm glad you didn't.
I didn't want to hurt our YouTube.
Couchfire Media
makes sense.
Trois Replay Productions has been in business from 2018 to 2023.
Yeah,
we don't know where they've been the last 2 years.
The last 2 years, they're just
it's gone. Those guys.
Where are those guys?
We've got Elias Marty on today.
Yeah, Elias Marty is the host of Politically High Tech. He's also a video game, board game, movie, technology, and spirituality enthusiast. And we're going to get deep into all of that. His recent podcast discussed technology, political change, religion, and why is he on the Geeky Gamer Podcast? That's what we're going to find out.
Yeah. How did you, Elias, who are you?
Where did this even come from? What is that? What are you drinking tonight or today?
If you want me to answer that, I'm going to ruin the mood with water. All right, water is very essential.
I'm drinking water.
Yeah,
right
water's
here, baby.
good. Water's great.
Soda.
My background will suggest I'm expecting a bourbon or a sangria or something. If I'm going to,
you wouldn't be far off.
Yeah,
you would not be far off. What are you trying to say, Elias? What's going on?
he wants you to do some noontime drinking.
What's going on here? I mean, I might have a bourbon. I'm just saying. It depends on how this conversation goes.
It's true.
But at
Me
present.
too.
So, Elias, we've talked a little bit about you, but can you describe to us, who are you?
Well, more importantly, why the heck I'm here? Why did I agree to this? Okay.
Right.
Well, we're going to figure all that out because I don't know either. I came here blind and unprepared. But to introduce who I am, I'm a curious podcaster, and my goal was to understand why in the world we are so divided. I mean, I would normally use a lot more colorful language, but I don't want to offend the advertisers, the anti-1A, if I want to sound a little right-winger about it, okay? But anyways, let's be respectful to them in the audience as well. I was just curious, why are we so divided? It just puzzles me. Why are the left and the right are just at each other's throats? You can't just have a civil disagreement. So that was my whole motivation, just to start a podcast. And I don't think people discuss nuances well and sometimes concise. Sometimes you hear too much on words. I'm a native New Yorker. And I say that proudly and sometimes shamefully too, especially how stupid New York could get at times, especially with policy wise. Congestion pricing, just to put it mildly, it's a very dumb idea. But if you want to get deep to that I'm totally against it. I think the whole climate purpose behind it is dumb. There's other ways we could solve the problem of climate change without that thing, and it's not worker friendly at all. But I don't want to derail because I could derail very, very easily. And I also talk about tech. Primarily AI has been my focus, my main focus of the whole thing. How your job can be saved if you learn AI, and if you don't learn it, your career will die. A little dramatic, but it rhymes, so there's some truth to it. So that's my focus. That's my focus with technology. And even I talked about I've done, and I even run AI videos from time to time to see how good they really are, to see how the viewers are. That's something I started doing recently. I'm emphasizing more the high tech than politics sometimes, because even though I deal with mostly three things, I already talked about politics. Depending what issue, I lean to the left or to the right more. Immigration is the one I'm very independent in because I think both parties are stupid in that issue. We need a nice balance between the two. So I'm mostly a centrist for the most part. I say independent centrist because sometimes I don't mind going off the whole political labels. They're becoming more meaningless as time goes on. Some people say I'm a progressive, but yet they don't talk about progressive stuff enough. Some people say they're conservative, but yet they support some liberal things. So
right.
I think
so. You're somewhere in between repealing birthright citizenship and mass deportation and open borders, is what you're saying.
I'm going to tell you how that is. That's a misrepresentation. Yeah, I'm just a what?
That's literally not what he said.
No.
It's incorrect. What I said was, the two extremes on either side.
Yeah.
So I said you're somewhere between those two is what you're saying.
So open the borders completely wide. I'm against that. But I'm also against super restriction. Right. There's got to be a middle ground. And one idea I got for the middle ground is you use that Republican wrath against criminal migrants who actually done bad things, not just deport people because they're migrants. And then for those who don't got papers, we could help those people out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of immigrants want a better life.
So I'm sure your family has experienced similar things to my family. I mean, I know that I have several family members that have actually swam across the Rio Grande personally, but we're Cuban, so it's okay, right?
That's go with Cubans. I think there should be a special thing just for Cubans and even Mexicans too. I mean, Puerto Ricans have it. I mean, thanks to the Jones Act.
Well, Puerto Ricans are
politics.
Puerto Ricans are American citizens.
I'm gonna get my bourbon really fast.
So I mean, they don't vote as a state, but it is literally if you're born in Puerto Rico, you can live in America if you want.
Yep.
If you can afford.
I vote as a state.
I don't mind it becoming a state, really. They should get as much rights as all the other 50 states.
Yeah, it's in a bad way, too. Because they lost power this week.
Really?
And the infrastructure's not really been there. I feel like we're not taking care of our people.
No, they haven't. For at least a couple of years.
Why did they lose power? I live in a garage. I don't know anything.
They lost. Are you?
What?
You want to answer?
I'm asking.
There was a hurricane a number of years ago, and the infrastructure wasn't great then. That wiped out a lot of their power systems, and it's still problematic. So it kind of went out. It wasn't because
the same thing. Is it different? Again, this is ignorance, but I remember when Haiti got wrecked and the DR, and they're still reeling from it. I know. Is it the same kind of storm, or actually was that an earthquake? Maybe an earthquake. Actually,
there was an earthquake. I think in Haiti.
It was like maybe 8 or 10 years ago or something.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, they're still repairing.
It's 2010 apparently. Anyway.
It's
an earthquake, 7.1 magnitude.
Yeah, it was devastating.
That's big. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Los Angeles right now. Thankfully, I have not experienced anything near that. I think there was a 5.
Yeah. I lived in LA for forever. Did you feel it? I never felt one earthquake.
Really? Yeah, I felt a couple, but it's nothing. It's not like something you see in a movie or like, something that breaks the highway and, upheaval or something.
Yeah.
Not yet. Elias, not that we want to, dox you or anything. I'm just going to ask you this question. whereabouts in the world are you? And you can be as vague as you wish.
Well, I already say native New York, so I am still in Rodney Apple, New York City. That's where I'm at.
That was New Year's.
Yeah, no, I was there too. I didn't travel because I didn't plan anything. Everything I've done was in New York City, just spend time with my small family. That's all I did. Nothing too special. Just watch the Ryan Seacrest New Year's program.
Do you? I went to New York once, and I was there for like 6-7 days. So I don't know anything about New York, but it was an interesting city. I've been to a lot of different cities in the world, and not one of them was like New York. What is your opinion on that?
Well, as I travel more, I'm beginning to understand why New York is very unique. I mean, I've been to Atlanta, Georgia. That was a completely different. That was a different feel, of course.
Oh yeah, Atlanta, hot Atlanta. When'd you get down there?
Atlanta. What I did, I just went to visit all my family members there because I was so curious about Georgia. I heard great things about it.
Have you?
Yeah. I had a naive perception of it.
Yeah, it's a little bit. That's the South, dog.
Yeah.
Georgia, baby. Listen, Georgia's fine. I lived in Savannah, Georgia for a while, and I was
That's
like,
great city. I like Savannah.
To visit.
Yeah, it's hot.
Listen, the weather's beautiful. The weather's amazing in Savannah. I don't know about the rest of Georgia. I know Atlanta's hot.
It's hot.
What time of year did you get down to Atlanta?
Oh, summertime. So even. But I'm a heat person. I have high heat resistance. If I was an RPG character, I would have high heat resistance.
You'd have
Okay.
If it's 3-5, you have like heat resistance 5 or some shit.
Yeah. That's at level 1.
Right. Are you thinking about heading down there, like spending some time in Georgia?
Oh yeah, I'm thinking about going back over there. I actually had a great experience. I didn't just visit Atlanta, Georgia. I went to Beaufort as well. That's one of the suburbs, not that far from there.
Yeah. No, Atlanta's cool. Atlanta's cool. It's cool.
I definitely want to visit Savannah at this point.
Dude, Savannah's cool. The problem with Savannah, there's 3 problems in my humble opinion with Savannah. One, it's like the elbow. It's like the taint of the United States. Okay. So like getting there it just takes forever.
It does.
There's nothing around it. It's
and there's
swamps.
no direct way there.
No. And you get there when I think it's I-40 that crosses.
Yeah, I believe it. You can't even get there.
I don't know if it's 40 or not.
The hurricane that went through that wiped out I-40.
So you get down there and the highway ends, and it ended at my apartment. Like it'd be like, boom, there it is. It's beautiful in Savannah. The food's great. Granted, it's a lot of sushi, so maybe you would not dig it that much. It's a bike town.
It's super
beautiful.
Pedestrian.
The
friendly.
weather is spectacular. Like, I would say the weather is. I personally think. I lived in Savannah for about a year. I've been in LA for a little over a year. I think the weather in Savannah is better than LA.
Well, you live in the valley.
It's true.
It's not LA weather. I hate to tell you that it's a different world between living in Venice Beach and the valley.
Fair enough.
Speaking of living in places, what are your games of choice?
Indeed.
I mean, you play some role-playing games. Do you play board games? Do you gravitate towards video games? And specifically, what kind is your?
Oh, what a worst time to ask me to be a gamer. I haven't gamed in a while, but I have this little thing called a smartphone, so I'm not completely out of the video game scene. I've been addicted to Squad Busters. I don't know, it's just a fast-paced entertainment. I love beating people up, destroying them, take their gems and coins, and just conquer them all. That's the one I've been playing. It's kind of popular mobile phone game. And I like some of the updates that they have, like new characters and all that. They finally fixed that Barbarian King problem. I thought he was a little too darn good. I gotta catch myself there, because I could go off the chain sometimes.
Oh, no,
No,
you're fine to
So
cuss.
we curse. We just don't drop the F-bomb within the first 20 minutes of the episode.
we just wait a little bit, and then we'll
Yeah.
start cussing the whole entire time. But we just
Yeah.
repeatedly
pretty
Once
do.
you curse, I'm gonna start cursing. Just letting you know, I'm gonna.
Sometimes all we do is just exchange curses.
And a lot of times we
Like for
start
an
off
hour.
with curses.
Yeah.
When you said, I want to go back just a second. When you said squad busters, I thought you said squat busters, and it was like a revenge landlord. Eviction. Like you're the landlord and you got to evict everybody because they're not paying rent. But Squad Busters is not that game.
Squat buster.
No, it's not that kind of game. But I think it would really agitate a lot of people who are dealing with rent, expense and all of that. It's gonna definitely agitate a certain demographic.
The expansion is shooting people off the wall.
Oh, I don't condone that.
And we just got canceled. Listen,
Again.
I'm just saying.
And it's not my fault this time. Yay.
I couldn't resist.
Wait
I
for
couldn't
it.
resist. It's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible. God. I can just think of a dystopian. That's not even dystopian. That's just a video game that's probably out there.
Yeah, like Deer
At any
Hunter.
rate,
Talk about a board game a little bit. There was a board game that did try to expose how corrupt the landlords were, but it got discontinued because I can understand why. It would really agitate the landlord, the rich people. Say, oh no, we don't do this. It was
anti-monopoly.
Yeah, it was really anti-monopoly, and then it got revamped to Monopoly. So originally, Monopoly was anti-monopoly. I mean, watch the issue chat about the board game. It's very fascinating. This is one trying to expose the evils of capitalism.
what's one of the things, man? Like, people talk about, how rich people are bad and CEOs are bad and all this stuff, and I generally agree with that. At the same time, rarely do I meet someone that kind of wouldn't jump at the opportunity to have the prestige and the money. Like, I mean, like, even if this is a little bit thin of an argument, but if you look at like the bastions of non-capitalist governments or non-capitalist style economies and governments, like, for example, I don't know, V.I. Lenin, I mean, the dude rose to the top and was an autocrat. Mao Zedong, same difference. Like literally all these communist people, they're despots. So there's nothing communal about that or in the manifesto about that. Now, I can't say the same for socialist countries, but what I'm trying to get at, I'm not trying to like go against communism or socialism. I'm trying to say that if someone's like, hey, do you want to be really rich and powerful? I think most people are like, yeah, I'll take that. And it's very easy for people like me who have no money or have very little money or paycheck to paycheck to be like, screw you guys. It's like, at the same time, would you just be them if you had the chance? Thoughts?
I'll be shameless. I said, heck yeah. I'll be brutally honest. I'll jump right
Give
in
me
there.
the money, dude.
Yeah,
Show me the money.
I have my friends with that. Heck yeah. Yeah, so I already told my audience that, look, if I sell out, I'm just warning you, I might sell out. I give a few warnings. I'm very shameless.
Listen,
I don't
I just want you to know.
I need that.
I might sell.
Unless you live in New York, you are 3 times more likely to jump that bait in an instant. All right? I'm just being honest. I'm just being brutally honest.
Ken, would you sell out?
I feel like I have sold out. I mean, I'm working on this podcast.
Oh.
No, but seriously,
Oh.
yeah, no, I worked for major corporations.
I think this is the opposite of selling out, Ken. I think you did it wrong. Usually you gain something by selling out.
I got burnt out by working. I mean, I could have had a middle class living in Los Angeles, and I walked away from it because I was just like, the producer of Dumb and Dumber is calling me the most passive aggressive person that he's ever met in his life, and I'm like, dude, I'm done. So I mean,
but then you went back to work.
well, then I went back to work. Yeah,
I'm totally leaving. I'm done.
But I did have to pay my rent. So
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the problem. I mean, that's the vice, right? The rock, between a rock and a hard place. That when you don't have power, prestige, money, whatever you want to call it, options, privilege, whatever it is that you need to be able to not be a slave to your boss or to your job or whatever that is. And that's kind of the goal, isn't it? And when you're in that pressure cooker, it's really easy to become a contorted, negative, terrible person. Then you put on actual life. Like all that's like phantom bullshit that we've created in society. Then you get shit like, oh, I hurt my leg and I need medicine, or I have health issues, or my family's something. Like real shit starts happening on top of the fact that you don't have enough money.
Yeah, I think that's what most of the country is going through in this moment.
Yeah.
We're all 6 months away from bankruptcy. No, I mean, and 6 months is liberal. It's like it doesn't take but one incidence. I feel like we're off the topic of gaming, but I guess
gaming's fun.
You can't game if you don't have a house to game in, I guess.
You can be like one of the
on top of that.
Say what?
So, a little extra cash or check after that, that's relevant.
Yeah,
this is what gamers IRL.
Yeah.
So.
What you could be like one of those. Go on.
Oh, I was gonna. Yeah, I'm not sure where this conversation's going. So go ahead, finish your thought.
I was making a joke. It's not gonna be funny anymore. Probably wasn't gonna be funny to begin with, but it's really not gonna be funny.
I think you've been pretty funny this episode, honestly. I mean, it's a dark humor. It's literally
I live in a garage.
Yeah, you live in a garage. You get bit by a spider. You have to go to the hospital.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, very recently I've dealt with those health issues and the general health system in the United States. And I had never been, I have been fortunate enough, Elias, to have never needed to go to the ER. At least the ER in the US. I've been to the ER in some other countries. And I was and have been rather surprised by like what I saw. I'm actually going to go there tomorrow to fix this thing. But have you ever been to the ER?
I've been to the ER.
What was kind of your experience?
A few times. My experiences, well, one when I almost chopped my finger off, and I was watching Hell's Kitchen at that time. Yeah. Oh yeah. If you want to go dark and gory, I could go there too very easily. I was cutting oranges real quick, multitasking, which I should never have done. That's what caused in the first place. Thinking I was hot stuff. I was just cutting oranges real quick, real precise. And then all of a sudden, whack, the knife just cut right through my finger and it was bleeding. And the weird part was I didn't phase. I was like, oh, I'm just bleeding.
Yeah.
I think I need to go to the ER or just bandage. I was just unfazed. I was so curious about it. I was like, oh, this is what a bone looks like? I'm such a weirdo because people were just freaking out. All my family members were freaking out. I was the only one. I was just calm, and I was the one that's actually going through the injury, blood, and all that. And
you're cutting fruit too. That's awful.
Yeah,
it's like cutting
lemons. That orange, it was contaminated, obviously.
Yeah, sure. You didn't want to eat that after. I mean, it could give you a little extra iron, I guess. And if you're a vampire, it's great.
I'm not listening to Ken now. I'm going to cancel my mind right now. But anyway, but seriously though, when I did that, I was just more curious than in pain, and then even when I went to the hospital, it took
They
long.
sewed it up.
Yeah, sorted up, all of that. I was insured. I was like the last year that I was under my parents' Medicaid thing. So
Yeah. But you still went to the ER and you had
yeah,
insurance, right? I see.
yeah,
Right, I see.
yeah. So we have insurance. It depends what kind of insurance.
Oh yeah.
It's not that bad. Let's be because the New York State's marketplace insurance is bad. I had that for 1 year. I couldn't even get dental and all of that.
Is this
there's a lot of flaws in the healthcare system. Let's be brutally honest.
Is it the
And-
Obamacare style or is it something else?
Yeah, it's
I see.
Obamacare style. Yeah, it's Obamacare style. And yeah, this is right at the very beginning of it. It was like the first year.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fortunate to live in Kentucky where Obamacare, aka the ACA, Affordable Care Act, I didn't have insurance for, well, since I was no longer living with my parents, and you know, I am a filmmaker and don't make the most money, and so I've had to use Medicaid. And I didn't see a doctor for 25 years or have a primary care until the ACA was signed into legislation. It's been, I think it's done a lot for my health, honestly, because it gave me some heads up of how to prepare and to treat my body. You know,
Gave you some
preventative care is what that is. And I actually addressed some ongoing issues that I have regarding I have asthma and a couple other things where it was becoming problematic for me to kind of exist in a day to day. I was having a daily issue, and it was because of not seeing a primary care. I mean, I think it's important what you have both gone through in the last couple of weeks, or you know what you've experienced in going to the ER is one thing, but that's not the ACA. I think that is definitely
but the ACA
a way.
Informs. The ACA informs the problems with the ERs is what I'm saying. The issue being that if
disagree
you
with
don't
you,
have
but
the option, well, I know you would. If you don't have the option to go to the doctor, or for example, if you have Obamacare, you can't go to an urgent care clinic if you're outside of your state. So at least that's what I was told.
Yeah. Well,
so it's like, okay, so you have to go to the ER.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what literally the people said. But
I realize that because the ER can't refuse you. I mean, and it does refuse. Some ERs do, and they're private hospitals. You have to go to certain ERs. It's not just any ER. I feel like we're way off topic.
Well, no, I think it's on point. It's the idea of a national healthcare system, right? NHS is absolutely possible, and it can work very well. From what I understand, in the UK, it's extremely good. I'm sure someone would disagree with me, but my friends that are in UK, that are British and also expats, they're like, this place is amazing. People that have traveled there say it's amazing. So it's possible. And I know in Australia, there's an idea there too of national healthcare. It's possible to do it right. But what happens in our country, which I'm going to be preaching to the choir here a little bit, is you go in and the hospitals need money. And so you have this game between the insurance agencies, which want to make money, and the hospital, which needs to make money. And it really doesn't have to do with the patient. So if you fall through the cracks, even if you don't, they are charging as much as they possibly can for a Band-Aid. So if your insurance, your Obamacare, says, hey, look, we're not going to cover that. And literally, maybe it's just my experience, every single time I've gone to the doctor with Obamacare, every time they have denied my claim. Every time. And what I have to do every single time is send them a letter within the 30 days. It's got to be written, got to do the thing. Because if you don't, collection agency. What they do is they shove it on you, and now you're not paying $20, $50. You're paying a few $1,000
or thousands
because
yeah,
of
for sure.
Band-Aids. And it's like, that is the problem with Obamacare. It's not that Obamacare is a bad idea. It's the implementation of it doesn't work. And you ask any medical professional that question, I bet they're going to tell you the same thing.
Well, what you've experienced is similar to what you know, in the 1950s, you know, black people went through with traveling in America. There's an interstate. There were basically
This
they
I
had
know
to write
nothing of.
books, huh?
This I know nothing of.
Okay, they had to write books on where you could stay at night because there were sundown towns and you couldn't be in certain places and you had to have a way to travel across the country. Part of the reason why legislation occurred to end segregation is it opens up that ability for more commerce. That was the legislation. It wasn't about equal rights. It was more about commerce. Money, absolutely. So the what the hybrid situation has put into place, and this is a real thing, is it gives you a limited range for traveling. That is absolutely correct. You go through it. I would say that is by design of who would agree to it that was in office at the time. But it was a step that allowed for a vastly larger amount of people to be insured against, especially for preventative care, where a lot of our long-term health issues come into play. What you're experiencing is real, and I can't say that I've had the same experience, but I've not ever been turned down yet for
I've not been turned down at the ER at least.
No, not for
Although
the
you
ER. Let me
you
finish.
feel like a refugee.
Let me finish. I've not been turned down yet if my primary care doctor has prescribed a different service for me to go to a specialist.
The claim hasn't been rejected. I see.
There is a limit what they will pay for and what they will not pay for. And admittedly, there is a bar because you have to be absolutely educated and do the system exactly right, or you're going to get a bill, and it's going to be a big bill. Bill.
Elias, what do you think?
That is that's interesting, but so far everything I hear is everyone's I think healthcare experience is different. I was fortunate enough not to get rejected, but I have talked to people who has been rejected, had to pay large sums of bills because they weren't insured or underinsured, whatever term you want to use, but they weren't insured enough. Let's get that big bill. So it does need fixing, and this is where I actually agree more with the left progressive thing that we should have more of a nationalized healthcare. I don't hear an alternative from the right. I really don't.
Have money. That's their alternative.
Well, the alternative is private care and you lift yourself up by your bootstraps and like you get it. I mean, clearly, I think in Canada, you can't even have private care, can you?
How dare you talk about Canada? Bringing in Canada into this.
But a lot of people here, like our senator, had a medical issue, went to Canada to get his medical issue resolved. Do you want to know what senator that was?
I sincerely hope it was Frog Face McGee.
No, it wasn't Frog Face McGee. It was the other guy.
Really,
Rand? It was the younger, we'll call him a libertarian.
I know you love that guy.
With a passion. I still think we're way off topic, but if this is where
We
we're
are
going to
off topic. Listen, you started the politics, all right? Like
No,
right
I
out the
was
gate,
just-
you're
I
like
was-
blah blah blah, politics.
I was just making a
And
joke.
here I am running with it. And you're like, ooh.
I was making a joke.
Yeah, well, this is what happens when you joke.
Elias,
Okay.
what are your favorite non-ER related stories and why?
Non-ER related stories. Oh,
What do you do? You like fiction or nonfiction? Where is your where do you find yourself gravitating when you kind of get into that?
well, it depends on my mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I need fiction to cope. If I'm in a good enough mood, I don't mind dealing with nonfiction because I have the mental capabilities to deal with gritty and darkness and all of that. That's both with books and games. Since you didn't specify that, I'm just gonna put it broadly like that.
Yeah. So like fiction. What's your fiction? What's your call to? What's your happy warm fireplace or warm corner fiction?
Well, it's a long list, but I'm going to use the most recent one. I mean, I saw the Sonic 3 movie. To me, it was great. The Edgelord, Shadow the Hedgehog was the main thing. I'm not going to spoil anything for those who haven't watched it, even though you should definitely watch it, and you got to go fast. Watch. Because I feel like spoiling everything, and the internet's already doing its job to spoil it, so avoid the internet. Anything Sonic 3, anything Sonic, just avoid it if you haven't watched it. You are going to be spoiled. It's a good thing I've watched it. And some of them were just straight spoiler. And I will say nothing unless I have a feeling nobody absolutely cares.
I don't know anything about it. I know that Sonic the Hedgehog was a video game and that they did.
I could give a goddamn about that movie, so you are welcome.
They did
You
some
are
movies.
welcome to tell me. Tell me
they did
everything.
some
You
movies.
say it's good. I don't believe it.
I've not followed along, but
I do not
wanna
believe
know,
that's a good movie. I mean, maybe in the same way that Mortal Kombat was a
I
good
want to
movie.
know why. I want to know why he
Let's not
gravitates.
compare that. Oh, that's trigger alert for me. You
know what I'm
not
saying?
compare that to Mortal Kombat.
You have
Mortal
been
Kombat
chosen.
Crap, I tell you. I will commit fatality in this episode for saying that, all right?
Mortal Kombat was a terrible movie, a decent game.
No, that was terrible, just period, right? That's objectively terrible.
Well, it's very
Sonic
violent.
is more of a acquired taste, all right?
Having the Highlander. What's the guy's name? It's not David Carradine. What is his name? Oh, frack. The dude who played Highlander. Come on, Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod.
Yeah. Shoot.
What is his name?
Yeah, I can't believe you don't know it.
Yeah, me. You don't know it either. It's not David Carradine. Goddammit. Who is he?
Famous actor Christopher Lambert.
Christopher Lambert. Right, you have been chosen. Listen, I love Christopher Lambert. However, when they pulled him out, when they pulled him out as Raiden, I was like, guys, Raiden's supposed to be an Asian dude.
Yeah, a little cultural appropriation.
Come on, man. Like, it would have been better had they pulled David Carradine because, they did the whole switch with Kung Fu, Like, I'm correct on that, right? Like,
yeah, the guy from Kung Fu was not Asian.
He's white as a motherfucker.
At all.
You have been chosen. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on?
I mean, I used to watch Kung Fu: The Legend Continues.
Kung Fu: The Legend Continues is awesome.
It was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kung Fu was awesome. I'm just saying, it was great. Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yeah, let's. But I want to dig into why. What is it? What is about the story that draws you to it? And do you have to watch the first 3? Yeah.
Well, the simple answer for that, the prequel answer is no. You don't have to. That's extra. They're
standalone.
There's no need for that. Especially if you want to know the Shadow and all that. Even a lot of the jokes references. If you're a Sonic fan, you will get it. But if you're not a big Sonic fan,
I played Sonic. Sonic was cool as shit. Knuckles was not my favorite character. I like Tails. I thought Tails was cool.
You say I like Tails, so even I like Knuckles as well.
Knuckles
I like
is
that.
cool,
I like that they having the characters that actually matter instead of a lot of modern ones that we don't care about. And that I agree with a lot of people, even though that I might be called toxic, that's fine. I'll own it and wear it proudly. Who cares about a lot of these Silver, the Blaze, and all that? Who cares about those characters? They put in the characters that actually matter. Like Shadow, he matters. Knuckles matter. You don't have to like him. Idris Elba does a great job voicing him.
Is Knuckles? All right, so I played Sonic 1. And you're not going against Dr. Wily. Who's the bad guy?
Oh, that's Mega Man's villain. That is Dr. Ivo Robotnik,
right.
aka Man.
Right. So not Dr. Wily. All right. So, but you got Sonic, and he's kicking ass, and he runs real fast, and I thought it was awesome. When I was a kid, I was like, this game is badass. Sonic 2 comes out, and I was like, all right, I like Tails, because Tails is cool. You can fly around. Tails is cool. I think it's Sonic 3 when you see Knuckles, and I was like, who the fuck is that? Is he an anti-hero? Is he an antagonist? I know eventually,
Yeah, no, Sonic 3, just to put it real simple and short. Yeah, he started off as an antagonist because he was tricked by the big bad doctor. Say, oh, Sonic and Tails are the bad guys. They're after your Master Emerald, so you gotta defend it. Well, that's what happened until, he eventually got his little epiphany moment, especially when Eggman's taking the Master Emerald. I said, oh, heck no, I'm going to go fight him. And then Eggman electrocuted the crap out of him almost to death. And that's what got through his thick skull that he was the bad guy.
I see.
So I'll say he's good, just with there was just a misunderstanding and deception that played.
Right.
That's all.
So what's Sonic's story? I mean, honestly, it just seemed like he was a really fast hedgehog.
Yeah.
Like, who is he?
Who could stick to the ceiling because he had so much gravity.
That was so cool. That was really cool in the game. But
it was definitely a step above Mario, which could just go hoppity hop. It was like when it came out, it was like a groundbreaking change. The graphics looked better than Mario.
True. That's true.
It had a lot more going for it. So I mean, I can see the draw. Too. A little FYI, Sonic 3 has an 88 on Rotten Tomatoes. So maybe you should go see the movie and the first two, or do you need the first two?
What does Barbie have?
You don't need the first two.
You don't need it. Stand alone. You just go see it.
What's Barbie on Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't know.
Barbie. I'm not watching that crap.
Because got a feeling it's pretty high too. How about Captain Marvel? What's that on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah, Captain Marvel, I don't think had that high of a. I think Barbie was definitely high on. Barbie definitely. I'm going to be on my own on this one, but Barbie.
You definitely are.
And Oppenheimer saved basically theaters because it got people out. I mean, when you get women wearing pink, people dressing up to go see this film, you are like, people were excited about it, and that is something that there's a lot to be said about that community and that strength of whether you agreed with the movie or not, whether you think it deserves the accolades and awards, that's opinion. But people were stoked about it, and I saw it in the theater.
It got people to the theater.
Yeah,
it got people to the theater.
I thought the execution and the technology was really well. The visual effects were amazing. The Barbie having a period. Spoiler alert.
It's not
At
really
the end, I felt like that was a statement. That was a statement. But I don't think I'm spoiling the movie because everybody's seen the film in America, except for you guys.
Yeah. The whole movie's a statement. I'll agree with you though that it absolutely got people out and to the theater, and that is a silver lining, like 100%. And it's not like it was acted badly. I think the contentious parts, one, there was a bit of a bait and switch a lot of people were angry about because they thought they were going to go see a kid movie, and it's not a kid movie. It's a Barbie movie, and it was touted in the trailers and all these things supposedly as a kids movie that's really fun, and then they get in there and it's an adult movie that is extremely charged with political and sociopolitical ideology.
Clearly, they
Which is
did no
fun.
research on the director.
They don't. You shouldn't have to
it's not
research.
my fault because I didn't know. Is I feel like is not an excuse
check it
that
out.
people.
Let's say there's a movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Okay. Are you going to go down and research the director? Maybe you will. But I think most people are going to think, I'm cool bringing my kids to this video game movie.
Yeah,
But if you roll in and it's like all about like sociopolitical stuff about who Sonic is and his privilege because he's blue, somebody's going to get mad at you because it's false advertising.
Well, it is blue privilege. So I mean that's.
I'm saying, just saying.
I
That's
you know,
my
I
deal with
haven't
Barbie.
heard that argument. I mean, maybe it's because I'm just far removed from it. But living in Kentucky, I have to say, you guys are in blue states. My state was number one, the reddest state, first one to pop up every single time, and I haven't heard that argument from any of my neighbors. Maybe I live in a bubble. I don't know.
Well, you live in Kentucky, but you live in not real Kentucky.
No, I'm in Bowling Green right now. It is real Kentucky.
Bowling Green, sure.
Yeah.
Bowling Green is real Kentucky, sure.
Yeah.
Kinda. Isn't Western in Bowling Green?
Yeah, Western's in Bowling Green. It's
a college town. I mean, they're liberal as fuck, dude.
No.
You don't think Western's liberal? With the
It's
film
definitely-
school?
Yeah, but it's an agricultural center. It's where people go to get real jobs. It's not known for its liberal arts. It is known for its ag. It's known for forensics. It's known for journalism, but that's dead. I mean, so
It's just hard to say. It's like, I mean, how many of the people around you, how many of your neighbors? I don't even know. I don't know anything about this.
all of my
Is the
neighbors are
demographic-
pretty far right.
And they all went and saw Barbie, and they were like, "This is amazing."
I think that
I don't
that
believe you.
women
I think that's-
connected
I
with
think-
that
I
movie.
think-
I think it connected
Okay.
across.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I
I'll
don't
give you
think
that.
men connected from. They went to Oppenheimer.
It's not for men.
There is a divide.
It's not for men.
Yeah, it's not for you.
I think
buddy.
that's the main. I think that's the main thing. Like, someone actually literally asked me about Barbie. We were talking about Margot Robbie. It was my girlfriend and I were talking about Margot Robbie and her career and how well she's done. And she asked me, she was like, "Yeah, did you see Barbie?" And I was like, "No." And I'm not trying to poo-poo on that movie. That movie's just not for me. Like, I know it. I know it from the previews. I know it from how people talked about it. I'm like, right, I'm not going to like the movie. It's not speaking to me. In fact, I'm going to feel browbeaten by that movie. Likely.
But yeah, but you feel browbeaten by an X card.
I don't feel browbeaten by it. Elias, do you know what an X card is?
Oh yeah, do you know what an
No,
X card?
no.
So in gaming, let's say we're playing a game, right? Or let's say we're having a podcast conversation.
Yeah.
And someone gets triggered by something that's said or done or whatever. They feel uncomfortable. And so they don't have to out themselves or open up the discussion or open up the wound further and raise their hand. Instead, what they do is they raise a card that has an X. So the idea is, let's say there's a game, Dungeons and Dragons or something, and there's a scene where the bad guy is like, beating up a child or something, right? Which can happen in games depending on the story that you're doing. Or like a vampire's, eating a kid or something. Someone could be like, "Oh, fuck that, X card." And they just raise it. And then everyone has to sort of shy away from that because they know that that person is being triggered. And while I think it's a good idea, I think the implementation is not very good. What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, that's an interesting idea. But for someone who, I'll be brutally honest, this is my issue with the whole trigger.
Be
This is what I
brutal.
was talking about to the right. Yeah, this one now I'm going to the right pendulum. Like with the healthcare thing, I went to the left pendulum. I'm going to the right. Look, if you're triggered and sensitive, I'm going to be really honest. Just don't be in the conversation. You could just walk away. And if someone who is courteous enough to say, "Look, we changed the subject," just come back. I like the fact that they just give a little indicators and say, "Look, we're going to talk about this for a while. Let's go till we come back, and come back when we switch the topic." I think that's like more like a nice way just to do that.
Yeah,
But
you're saying
if
the
you could-
impetus is on the person that is being offended to leave the room.
Yeah, exactly. And I have gave people warning. So look, if you're gonna be triggered, if you're gonna be super sensitive, don't talk to me. 'Cause I'm gonna say what I want, and sometimes I'm just not gonna care about your feelings.
No,
Unless
what
I'm in a
did you
very
say?
mood. I'm not gonna care about your feelings. If I'm gonna talk about what I'm gonna talk about, and
Right.
some issues I want to talk about, I'm gonna give you the left, the right, the center opinion,
Right.
and I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I don't like to walk on eggshells. I will happily be verbally combative with that person.
Yeah.
That's how I deal with this. Not the most healthiest way of dealing with it. People can label as toxic. I don't care.
I don't
Yeah.
think
You
that's
have to
toxic.
be willing to deal. You have to be willing to
toxic.
deal with tough subjects.
Yeah, I don't
We
think
just need
that's
to
toxic.
grow up. No, I mean I've been labeled that, and I wear it proudly. And I'm just not gonna stop. And look, if you don't want to get into the subject, you can just kindly remove yourself out of it, or even just leave. I even offer the door. There's the door. Go.
Toxic, for something to be toxic, I mean, we use that adjective to describe conversation and all these things.
Right.
What it means is that as in, if you take something that is toxic to your body, then it not only injures you, like it threatens your life, like it can irreparably damage you, is the idea of toxicity, right? Like there's nothing good about taking something that's toxic. I think someone getting offended, that's not toxic, right? Like someone being offended by something, that's just how they respond. Now I think that mentality that you've adopted could become toxic. For example, if you're seeking out people, if you're seeking out to troll people or bully people or to offend people and get them riled up to do stupid shit, I think that's toxic. But just saying like I don't there's no, you don't owe people anything, right? Like you don't owe them, hey, you need to care about my opinion. No, you don't. Why do you need to care about my opinion? Just because someone has something to say, that doesn't mean you got to care about how they feel or what they're saying or who they are. It's nice if you do. I think it's maybe better off where we get along more. But someone walks into the room, like, customer service style, you're trying to get stuff, that store clerk does not necessarily need to be nice to you.
I think there's a ground that it depends on your intent. Like if you have to deal with this person on a regular basis, the toxicity comes into account because you have resentment or whatever. If it's a stranger on the street, I mean, you really don't have any investment, so it doesn't matter. I mean, you get everybody gets road rage. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. Everyone's a
I'm a
Karen.
Hindu cow.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's because you cause the road rage and you're hoopty. that is why so many people are honking their horns at you, because you drive like a middle-aged old white dude.
I drive like an old man. It's pretty ridiculous. I'm going on like the freeway. I'm like hanging out, dude.
I think that our country could definitely use that second response. Like there's triggered, whatever that is just beyond triggered, that allows you to think about what somebody said that pissed you off, process it, hold it in, but think about it, because that's how you evolve as a community, as a person, as whatever it is. I think if you're doing it on purpose, there's no need or desire to evolve. You've got an intent. That is your intent, is to trigger.
Well, the thing with me, the reason why I 9 out of 10 times feel guiltless about it, because I give them warning. I said, this is what I'm going to talk about. Not comfortable with it. No. That's not my intent most of the time, but I, at times, and this is, thank goodness, this is not needed for most conversations. If I'm going to talk about something I know is going to be hot, sensitive.
Yeah, I've been waiting for it.
Trigger, we need to grow up. A lot of adults are like old children. Let's be honest, especially some of the subjects. We need to learn how to just man or woman up, talk about these things. I mean, how are we going to move forward as a country, as a community? And that's the way I see it. That's my intent most of the time. And my intent is not to trigger and troll. But if you're going to get nasty, play games, I could do that too. I'm out of pushover. So that's my thing. My reaction is more on defense rather than offense. And 9 out of 10 times my intent is not to troll or trigger people unless I am just done. I just don't care anymore. I really don't see investment, even if I've had to deal with this person for a long time. I'll do everything in my power to make it uncomfortable as possible. You just stay in your lane.
So you're trying to get out of New York, huh?
Yeah.
Is it just too crowded, or what's? I mean, for people that haven't lived there,
can we just hold here in this little like moving out of New York?
I can answer that population question real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have lost officially 300,000 people.
Yeah, people are moving out of New York for sure. People are leaving, and that might make it more comfortable. I don't know. I mean, people are leaving LA too. Like the fastest growing places are just 50 miles from me, Nashville. There, Georgia, I think, is growing significantly quickly.
Yeah, everybody's trying to get to Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to move to Nashville 20, 30 years ago. I still don't. It's not interesting to me. But I don't know. I think that's interesting to me. And I the reason I want to hold on to it is because I was listening to some of your other podcasts. I listened to, and I want to know the change, because I think we can have this conversation. And I want to know, because it seemed like a year ago you were on a podcast, Catholic Verse, where you said something about you're further right on LGBTQ and suggested maybe a forced mass. I presume that was a joke. It doesn't, like a conversion therapy has been proven as a pseudoscience. But then a few weeks ago, you had a guest, Dr. John, on your podcast, and it seems like your perspective is actually loosened up a little bit, and that you are more accepting of the world and not the world, but of LGBTQ community, because you had him on the podcast and he was interesting, and it was a dynamic conversation, and you guys connected on some level. I just want to ask, is your perspective different now, or are you code switching for that particular podcast?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. My position has never changed. What I realized what I had to do was framing it, because I had to just change a certain message. Because when I listened to the Jewish, the whole Christian, the Catholic podcast, I'm no longer a Catholic, by the way. That was my very last year being Catholic. I'm a spiritualist now. I was like my very tail end of that. What I realized I had to do was just change the messaging, because it sounded like I was anti-LGBTQ plus, even though I had gay friends and all that. I was already accepting of them.
Sure.
My issue is the shoving of the ideology on normal people's throats. That's my only criticism. Other than that, I don't care how they live their lives. My issue is not their lifestyle. So it was the political issue of certain selective LGBTQ plus people shoving their ideology down their throats. And I gave them credit where it was due. I said, you're not the number one source of grooming in pedophilia. That's the priest, okay? That's a much higher source of that. Oh yeah, that's controversial. I don't care.
I think it's individuals. I think the priest. I have a Catholic background as well. I think it's individuals. I think that was a symptom of that group
Right.
because of the cultural situation that you couldn't express yourself in America before that. So, or in the world before that, that was always LGBTQ issues were always something that it's like you had to hide until more recently. So that's where that issue,
Right.
like I'm going to be a priest because like we're all dudes now. I mean, it seems like it's okay. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No. But that's a very valid point. Oh,
Well, I'm
a
gonna
very
be a
valid
priest for all
point.
dudes.
I mean, that's the most cleanest way to put it. We all know the filth and the details of that. I mean, we don't have to break that down, right?
Sure.
So that's why I'm staying away from. I mean, you know, the advertisers all just run away, they fly away, and you know, I want that to happen. Yeah, but no, the thing is, I never been against LGBTQ plus. I just didn't articulate that. I would say, no, I was just against just them just shoving down on people's throats. That was just my only valid criticism. I never hated them. I was never homophobic, transphobic, wherever phobic. Some people could think so if they only pay attention to that Catholic one, because I'm just critical of more of their shoving it down people's throats. That's it. Other than that, I have absolutely no problem.
It was a little unclear because it was in the moment, not to, you know,
Right.
But the way you phrase it, I mean, I could have taken that clip and did a gotcha moment and said, "Oh, this is the guy. We're gonna get him." But that's not me. That's not journalism. Which I wanted to clear that up because I noticed that you yourself didn't seem to have. You know, it seemed to be something that you thought about and listened to, and that was not the experience that I've had with people who hated LGBTQ people. And I don't think anybody should force you to a gay bar. I mean, gay bars are great. I love them, but yeah, you'll find me dancing like super big, and I've been in a cis heterosexual relationship. You know, I'm cis heterosexual male all my life, and so like I gotta dance, man. And we said that early on. I think that was before the podcast started. Let's. I mean, it's interesting.
Listen,
I mean,
man,
I feel like it's
man, I gotta
definitely
dance.
She's got to dance, man. That was like
dance,
Dazed and Confused. And so what made the change? Why did you step away from the Catholic Church?
Because like I find a lot of their understanding of God weird. So I read the Bible twice, and even multiple iterations. And some stuff they're doing, I don't feel like it's biblical in my opinion. I mean, does it make sense to always use old language to get new believers? No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. This is why a lot of young people are the least religious ever. I mean, I don't agree with that in general, but I can understand why. Okay, they have to get with the times if they're gonna get new believers. That goes for Catholic and well, maybe except for other religions, but definitely for Christianity, it counts for that. You have to change your approach of how you're gonna get new believers. You can't just stick to old style lectures that worked in 1950. Okay, you're gonna have to use more social media. And maybe you're gonna have to, and some of them are already doing this, by the way. I looked into this very recently. And they're already putting Gen Z slang into the Bible. Execution, it was a hit, it was a mix, it was hit. Some of it I thought was good, and some of it I thought it was cringeworthy. Like I think when they call Virgin Mary a hit me girl. And she tries too hard to get a man. I was like, ooh.
Well, that's definitely
big misinformation right there.
I've not heard that. I've not heard that story. It's
an interesting story.
Yeah,
I cringed hard on that one. I was like, their heart is in the right place to get younger, believers into the church, but the execution it needs improvement. Like,
and well, there's a lot of fanfare. And modern churches, I mean, their music festivals, their celebrations. There's a lot of
there's some churches that are working
video
on that.
Crazy.
There's some churches that are doing that. That are doing good, but the Catholic Church seems to be very outdated.
Yeah,
they need to
It's the same thing every week.
Yeah. We gotta celebrate
I've been to a
Jesus'
lot of I went to
birth,
Catholic school for a minute.
resurrection every freaking year. It gets tiring. It's like a freaking rerun.
Yeah, 16 Hail Marys.
Yeah. Oh, forget it. Don't get me started on that.
So you say your spirituality, you're spiritual. In Dungeons and Dragons, there was a more moral panic, and this absolutely changes the way I'm asking the question that I had. There are gods and devils in tabletop role playing. Do you still believe in sin the way you saw it before, or did you is it okay to have false gods and play in games with fictional demons and stuff like that?
Me, I really don't care as long as the intent is just to have fun. I think everything just goes to intent. If you're trying to steer people away from spirituality, that's a different story. But if you're just there to have fun, even with false gods and I don't know, Greek, Norse, all of Egyptian mythology, I like reading mythologies. I think they're pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So
it's just as long as they're not funneling you towards
they're not brainwashing, turn to a cult, whatever. I'm fine with that. To me, it just all boils down to intent.
Yeah.
That's my simple understanding of it. I think a lot of the major religions do have, I think they're all starting points.
Yeah.
Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, they all starting points to the spiritual realm. And some people need to not need, but if they are interested, let me just say it like that, they use one of these major religions as a starting point. And that's just spiritual. I just believe in God. I meditate more spiritually. To me, God feels more real if I follow in a spiritual path instead of just sticking to the traditional church system, because church do block off certain things of the Bible. I mean, the juiciest, most entertaining parts of the Bible, most glorious parts of the Bible, they either censor it or they just gloss over it. I mean, no, I want to know about the interesting stuff. No, okay, yeah, I get Virgin Mary, great, and all that. But if you read about the Old Testament, some hardcore stuff going on there. I mean, some interesting stuff.
I think,
especially how King Ahab and Queen Jezebel died. I mean, that has some interesting stuff. That's good stuff for sure. If you just want to enjoy an entertainment kind of way. These stories are far more interesting, but that's one that gets glossed over. It's about we don't know about the Jesus Christ, the 12 disciples. All that's what gets replayed a lot. I think the more low-profile stories need more, for lack of a better word, clout exposure, because people tend to skip a lot of that stuff, and some of it are important. We just like to focus on New Testament and essentially forget about the Old unless it's convenient.
That's really
the way
interesting.
I see it. That's definitely gonna turn off some religious people. That's fine. I don't think they're credible people to begin with. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them mean well, but some of them don't.
Well, I think you make
a Catholic Church for some, and I already found out who are the two priests that were very fake and phony.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point of reading the Bible that you saw kind of where you were more clearly as a human, and I think that furthering knowledge and getting into your you figured it out for you. Let me say one thing. Everyone's spiritual journey is unique. I want to emphasize that everyone's spiritual journey is unique. Whatever I say, some things are going to be helpful, some things are not, and that's perfectly all right. I think a spiritual journey is a very individual, unique journey for everybody. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry. No, I think that's real. Can you talk a little bit about your podcast? Tell me why you choose some of the different interviews and stuff like that you choose. I mean, where do you get your ideas for content?
Oh, that one. No, that's could be another episode onto itself, really. But to put it more succinct, I get it from mainstream media, of course. You know, I gotta meet people halfway. Even though I love to toss the mainstream media sources out the window, and I try to find a balance. I try to find a story that represents the right, the left, or once I find something that's more in the center, I will favor that more than the other two because there's Mother Jones that favors the left, or what's the right wing version to that? Breitbart. Yeah, Breitbart is right leaning. I look into that so I could get a different lenses for each story. I say, oh, the left says this, the right says that, the center says this, and this is my opinion. I look all over the place, but I do got a few sources that I think is good. Like the new paper is short, straight to the point. It has, essentially no political spin to it. It just gets straight to the point, the facts, boring, dry, quick news. Instead of hearing, oh, Donald Trump demon, oh, Biden is an angel, or vice versa. I get tired of that, and I can detect bias when, from the mainstream media and social media. Don't even get me started on social media. To me, they're the bigger culprits of misinformation than even the mainstream media. Mainstream media, they put some of the facts and then they put their agenda embedded into it, making it more harder to detect what's misinformation or not. But with social media, you already know it's misinformation right on the spot, especially when they try to say Biden's mental state was great. I said, that's complete horse crap for years, all right? And this is going to sound like I'm with the MAGA people. I'm not. I promise you that.
Well, that's what lost him the presidency, I think.
It was crap. I've seen that even since 2020. I say he is not in the best mental shape. Because I remember Biden when he was more mentally sharp. He had wit. He was a liar, but he had wit and he could back up his lie. Okay? So
he 10 years ago, there's an interview with him. I think he's the VP for Obama.
Yeah.
And
for 8 years.
I think what I mean is I think the interview was during that time.
Yeah.
And he's a force to be reckoned with. He's funny, like he's interesting. I don't know about his policy, but like it's watching that interview, I was like, oh, I see why that dude's a politician, why he's done well, why people would want him to be a leader of some sort. And then I juxtapose that with, kind of what's going on right now. And I was like, man, 10 years is a long time when you're that age.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, I think there should be age caps for running
a test.
Yeah, like a cognitive
I agree with cognitive
test.
I don't want 88.
Something.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah,
Can you remember these 7 numbers? Like something, man.
Something. I mean, I think they're definitely like
to flourish though. That's the thing. I just think a test is fine if they pass, even if they're 90 years old. Fine.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's people that are sharp as a whip.
Sure.
Is that what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
yes.
That they're right on there, 100 years old. 102.
Sure.
But there are people that are 60 that you're like, dude.
But they might be sharp in a conversation or sharp in a test. Yeah.
I mean,
but it's an endurance thing as well. I mean, Biden,
sure,
he might be sharper than he comes across, but he just doesn't have the energy.
Look at
concentrate.
You've seen that before or after of presidents, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
they all start with brown hair, and then they.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I mean, Obama was a pretty young president.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, he's sitting there like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm through.
Yeah.
Like
thank goodness for the term limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for the term limits. That's all I'm gonna say for them.
I believe that came in after FDR.
Yeah.
I want to say that's when they instigated that.
Yeah, especially Republicans. Oh, he's been president for too long. Term limits.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that works out.
We'll see how that works out.
He was president for 4 terms. I mean, there's a reason why he won. I mean, I think he was the right president for that time.
He was president for 3.
3, I think.
And he died. He died like the first year.
Yeah,
but it kind of made sense
early on in his 3rd term.
Made sense. I mean, we were in literally World War II. Like, it's like, you don't want to change it. Who was right after FDR? It wasn't Eisenhower, right?
Yeah, Eisenhower. Truman?
Was it Truman?
No, Truman was before. I think it was Eisenhower.
No.
Oh,
No.
It wasn't. Truman was not.
It was
I don't
Johnson.
think Truman was before.
Is it Johnson?
Was Johnson? LBJ?
Oh.
No, that was
No,
after Kennedy.
That was,
that
that was Nixon. Yeah, Kennedy.
No, Truman took over when
It was Truman. Pretty sure it's Truman.
And then it was Eisenhower.
Clearly, we know the names of the presidents.
Well, yeah, we've got it here and there. It's just, after World War II, you don't really pay attention until the 60s in American history, right?
Sure.
You're like, oh, yeah, it just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go over the Korea thing. We don't talk about that.
Well,
Anyway.
and who ran? I mean, post FDR, it was kind of like, who cares? Until
Nixon,
Kennedy was
all that
shot.
stuff. Yeah.
So it's like it was FDR, Kennedy, Nixon, Reagan.
Right.
I mean, we even skip over Carter.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, they say,
And
I know
like
he just
Carter.
died,
I thought he was
but
a great
as
president.
the president, though, you
I
think he was a
fine
great president?
He did a lot of things.
You were in a minority there.
I am definitely, but there are a lot of reasons why. I think that his legacy is brighter than, because it goes from Carter to Reagan. There was a crisis during his time with gas, but he was there was a world
Arguably
power
caused it.
struggle going on against his presidency.
He arguably caused that is the thing,
Based off of what is the specific moment that he caused.
Well, he shook hands with the sheik, I believe.
Oh yeah,
and they photographed it. And so Ahmadinejad was like, oh. Forever.
Right. There was definitely there were mistakes were made. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Supposedly, Carter was amazing as an ex-president.
Yeah, certainly
did so much for the world.
Yeah,
but as the president, I've been told
for
it's kind of
humanity with his volunteer work. He did a ton.
Governor of Georgia, right? Was he a governor of Georgia?
And not after, but before. Yes, he
was. No,
before.
Wouldn't that be wild? You're like the prez. It's like 10 years later, you're like, hey, so what's up? I'm going to be the governor of West Virginia.
This is why we talk about gaming, Bill, and not politics.
Anyway. So what else do we have here?
Who is your favorite person that you absolutely disagreed with politically on your podcast, Elias?
I disagree with. I like Christoph Morrow, his name, but I disagree with him with some of his political takes. Like he said Kamala being ambiguous was an advantage. I strongly disagree with that. I even had a little cringe face when he said that. Being ambiguous is not such a good thing. I don't care if you're left or right. Yeah. It's not politics. It's just lack of transparency.
Yeah, it's also being forgettable.
Yeah, I disagree with that. He's a good person. I mean, I had him as a guest twice already.
Oh, no.
But I disagree with his takes on Kamala Harris. I was like, I don't think. I think that's going to cost her the election. I'm not surprised I end up being right, even though at the time the media was being funny with that whole coverage, just to put it nicely. They were very critical of her, and now they're saying she was the best thing ever, which that's okay. I'm not going to listen to you.
Clearly not.
You just they just flipped 180 without an organic explanation. So no, I'm not listening to you. You could change, and then change is not the problem. It's how you did it so quick. No, that's just not believable. Nope, I don't care. Even the JD Vance thing. Let me talk about JD Vance right here. While Bash Biden, I'm going to talk about JD Vance. I still think he's a con. I think he wants to be president. And I think he might even be president. I think he's banking on Trump getting killed so he could be president.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
absolutely.
My theory.
I mean, I don't think he didn't mastermind his way. He didn't mastermind his way to where he is, but he is a smooth talker. He can talk with the best of them. He's not a good truth teller, I think, but Yeah, absolutely. Smooth talker. He's a writer. He's very smart. He has an agenda.
Oh, that he is. Because I just got to give him credit where it's due. As a VP pick, he started off terrible, then he got better. As for Waltz, he started off good, he went downhill.
Yeah, Waltz was a poor choice. I mean, but the Democrats
Shapiro would have been much better,
themselves.
but I found out why that didn't happen.
Yeah, no, it's. I was a big Bashir fan. I think they should have picked him to run as president instead of
That's
Kamala
not a bad choice. I think he would have been a good choice too. That was like one of the few I was thinking of. If it's not Shapiro, maybe Bashir, because he was Democrat, governor of a very red state. I mean,
yeah.
Principal Andy.
Yeah, Andy, good old Andy.
Yeah.
Principal Andy. Here's my thing with Andy Bashir.
Okay.
Here's my thing. One, I went to school with. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
But
I
we're
went to school
basically the
with him.
same age. We're basically with the same age. Here's my issue. All right. He had a hard term. Everybody did over COVID. But, in particular, like you said, Elias, so this dude gets elected after it's not Mitt Romney. What was the dude's name prior to him?
Matt Bevin.
Matt
Bevin,
Jesus
who attacked teachers
Matt Bevin
directly.
He had this whole thing where he was like, all right, we're going to go around on prayer walks. I mean, it's just, awesome if you're into spirituality, but there's a point where it's like, dude, like, kind of read the room. Anyway, so he comes on the heels of that. Everyone's like, great, Bashir's in power. Awesome, we're going to get something done. Boom, COVID. And that's a difficult position. Arguably, Trump is in the same position, right? But that's an aside. Here's my issue with him, right? I'm going to give him all the credit in the world. I think he did a good job in several ways. I'm a bartender. And at several events, like rather large events, I bartended. And Andy Bashir was there. And that dude doesn't tip. And that's an X card thing for me. In my opinion. This is my opinion. Okay? When you roll in with the mask, with the UK mask on, you take that off and everybody's supposed to have their masks on. And I'm like, okay, Principal Andy, you don't come get your own drinks and you don't tip.
Have you ever met a movie star?
No.
They don't tip either.
Oh my God. I'll be right back.
Great job. You triggered your co-host.
I'm good. I mean, I was really good friends with Bashir when I was a kid. I knew him growing up. We played on the same soccer team together. And, I don't, it's all circumstantial evidence is what I'm saying. I wasn't there. I can't really respond to him tipping or not, but I think he did a really good job through the pandemic. And I think there were a lot of people that fought against him violently. In at least rhetoric. He was hung in an effigy. He was accused of all these terrible things, like that he was destroying the economy. And I think we got out of the pandemic in a pretty good way. Not necessarily, I think he's a good governor, and I think he knows how to communicate, more centrist. He's a lot more religious than I am. So if I was going to have a negative critique about him, it's like, come on, dial it back with the God stuff. But, he knows his audience. I think that stuff is genuine. I think he believes what he says he believes. And he was honestly too nice of a kid growing up. I wanted to be closer friends with him. I would have been closer friends with him, but it was just too sweet of a kid, and I wanted to be bad,
Also, you was the toxic one in that relationship.
I was the toxic. I'm the toxic one in most relationships. That is a real thing. I definitely feel like I'm with you. I want to gravitate towards kicking people in the butt. That is my first response. I'm going to kick your butt. Verbally, not actual. Because
don't worry, he's a very violent person. I'm kidding.
This is my fighting. I'm gonna fight you.
Wow. And you're putting that on blast.
Nobody can fight like me. I got the jazz hands.
If we get real big, the memes, I can see the memes for that already.
Oh yeah,
I can see the memes.
I mean,
the memes are going to be great.
Yeah.
I see legendary meme content right there, people. Clip that. So, all seriously, me, I'm mixed because I try not to show fear, I feel it. I'm more either I'm just standing straight or I'll just have my fist ready or a weapon ready. I got one fist up and I got a weapon and another one.
Yeah.
Even though I don't fire a lot, but I will if I have to. And I did. I had to physically beat up a few people during the pandemic because they were after me. They got violent.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's terrible. Did anything specifically set it off? Do you mind talking about it?
Oh, I'll talk about it. I've talked about my podcast several times, easily. Yeah. One was pretty bad because the guy was trying to pickpocket me. He saw me as a tourist. I looked at,
Yeah.
I dressed above my wage, just to say that. I looked like I was $1 million, and that attracted him to try to steal from me. But what he didn't realize, I was a native New Yorker. I freaking elbowed him, pimp slapped him so hard, he took 2 steps back. I said, "Come at me, you fucker." I said that the mother one in there, and then all he did was yell, and just like that, I just stood right there.
Yeah.
Now I said, he sounded like one of them Resident Evil zombies, whatever. That's how bad he screamed. I stood right there real calm. I said, "Are you done with your stupidity? Are you done? Yeah. There's several ways I can end this. Either by me, the cop, or I could scare you to one of those cars to hit you."
Yeah.
It was right in the middle of the street. And he stopped. Because he realized I was the crazier one. And, crazy sees crazy. I'm a bit of a crazy person. I'm trying to.
You don't mess with people on the street. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm one of those. I don't look at him from the street, but I could get street if I need to. Yeah. And there was another one, and the guy bumped into me. That all of a sudden, I did the elbow right to his nose. What the f is that? Come at me! And he freaking ran. So that's right, you little bitch.
Yeah.
You punk ass. Your mother raised a little girl, just like that. He was a small guy trying to act tough. That's when I elbowed him hard. That changed real quick. I already cleaned his ego. Right. That's Cox. His ego I cleaned out. I've
been in a lot of situations, or not a lot, but a few. I lived in LA for a while. I was certainly people pulling out guns, and I was in a store. I worked at a Radio Shack when they still exist, and we got robbed at gunpoint, and that was not fun. But I was such a bad employee that I didn't realize we got robbed at gunpoint. I was watching TV, and my manager. This is how good the store was helping these people out. And I just let them do whatever they were gonna do, and all of a sudden he's running to the door and locking the door as the customers left, and he's telling me, "Oh, we were just robbed at gunpoint." And I was like, "What?" I missed it. I missed the whole thing, which is I think the best way to get robbed is to not notice it.
In a weird way, I have to agree with that. I think if I'm going to be right, I just hope I don't notice it at all.
Yeah.
Just be dumbfounded, oblivious to the situation. I think that's the best way to get robbed. Smooth criminals, apparently.
Every time I walk in, I swear, it's just.
Oh, it gets spicier. I think that was his trigger moment. That was his trigger moment. He has a little car. You just left. Andy Bashir, inhumane, being unprincipled, Tipless Bashir, hashtag it. All right.
Yeah, so Andy did it. I need to go see a man about a horse.
Any thoughts? You got some thoughts there, Bill?
Well, I'm going to drink some Knob Creek, but...
Oh, nice. I'm not drinking anything.
This is my favorite bourbon.
I've been getting it lately.
It was introduced to me by my friend Will Rowe.
Nice.
And he hooked me up with this. Really the first time I drank bourbon. Really, he was like, taste this. And it has always been my favorite. It's not that expensive. It's like a $35 bottle. I mean, average.
No.
Middle average price.
It's no
but you're not breaking the bank.
Listen, if I was living in that garage, I'll be drinking a lot of bourbon as well. Being depressed. I say, yeah, let me join you. I mean, if I'm in a person's house, if they have liquor, I'll drink it.
All right, I'll be right back. You talk.
Fill you up. I'm gonna drink your liquor.
So, if it's being offered, I'm not gonna just say, "Hey, well, give me the liquor, damn it."
Give me that liquor, damn it. I mean, it's one of those things. I think so long as you are enjoying whatever you're enjoying, we'll call it moderation. Like the moment that, so I've gone through moment. I'm a bartender, so I have, I've been known to drink. And got some Woodford.
Yeah.
Woodford
I didn't want you
Reserve.
to drink alone.
Thanks. Woodford Reserve is good. It's solid. Anyway,
yeah. Go ahead.
So long as I don't have that mentality of you get the drink and you're already thinking about the next one, that's when you got to cool down. You got to cool down. It's like having a cheeseburger and you're like, cool, where's that next one? Or that dessert. Like, oh yeah, I'm like halfway through it. Oh, where's the next one? Like you want to enjoy something, not abuse it. And flash forward to 10 minutes.
It's when we start arguing, Bill and I. That's when we really start.
Actually, we start agreeing when we drink. That's
is
the
it
thing.
True? Is that
Sure.
a real thing? I don't know. I think we ended a couple of podcasts in the past where we were both pretty lit, and we're like,
probably. Yeah, I learned this
I don't
word.
think it never got to like that level. We've never been there.
Right. There's this word I just learned not long ago. It's mawkish. So not to mock somebody, but M-A-W-K, mawkish. And apparently what it means is it's the kind of emotionalism that happens when you get drunk.
Oh.
So, like a bunch of dudes drinking beer and they're like, bro, you're my brother, bruh. That crap, that's mawkish behavior. And I'm definitely susceptible to it. Did I spell it correctly?
It's sentimental in a feeble or sickly way is M-A-W-K.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. In a feeble, dude, brother, I love you, man. You're like crying.
Yeah.
But you hate each other. Whatever.
Oh God, I'm so New York. I think I turned out to be scarier.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm definitely not that because. Oh, let me talk about a drunken story where I used to drink a lot.
Sure.
Right. I mean, just to be more relatable to y'all.
What are you trying to say? The fuck you saying, man? Go on.
Oh, all seriousness, I came from this party, great party, and I didn't leave out of the house like 5 a.m. And I was very drunk, especially. I couldn't even walk properly. I was wielding my umbrella like it was a sword.
You were wielding it, nice.
Yeah, I was wielding like that, like I was some badass samurai.
You're Gandalf, baby. You're going into it.
I was just ready to whack somebody. And long story short, this homeless person came and scared my punk ass friend. I call him a punk. You know who you are if you listen to this podcast. Punk friend. All right, I had to come in there, use my psycho power to scare him off. And I was swinging the umbrella towards him too.
Oh shit!
I had huge swings.
Turns out he had a real sword.
Yeah, I was, I almost commit murder on the dance floor. Right?
Shit.
So, I scared him off so bad. And when he tried to scream, I screamed even louder. And he freaking backed off. I say, you see, you stupid punk ass shit. Your mother should be ashamed of you. You need to learn psychonese. You need to out crazy the crazy.
That's right. That's right.
That's the only language they know.
When in Rome, you act like the Romans. Is that the end of that phrase? I know you say when in Rome, but is it when in Rome, act like the Romans? I'm not actually sure how to finish it up.
That's the first time me hearing that. I just out crazy the crazy.
Yeah, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
Do as the Romans do. Yeah, I mean, there is an element of that, right? Like adopting a certain persona. And because I'm not really saying anything new here, but like anytime you travel, especially outside of the country, I mean, within the country, but outside of the country, it becomes a little bit more obvious, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm in a place that is literally different because the language, the people, et cetera, et cetera. You don't want to act like a tourist, which is to say you want to fit in, right? So like, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Like if you see everybody doing a thing, you probably should do that. Don't like pull out your wallet, your iPhone, hanging out, you know. That's going to be bad news bears. Wear all black all the time.
Yeah.
In Europe helps.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. I won't even think
They'll
of
just
that.
think you're French.
Well, this
They're
is
like,
a
right.
how-to podcast. That's
Right.
the way we. So we're like ask men, ask geeky gamers. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Ask
why
us,
we're here.
we'll
My
tell you.
tip is applies to New York City, just FYI.
Yeah, so speaking of New York, like I said, I was there for 6 or 7 days. I was on Lexington and 42nd, I think, is where we were staying. And I don't know why I remember that. And we didn't run into, I mean, I saw a whole lot of, it reminded me of The Matrix, to be honest with you. Like, you know that scene in The Matrix where he sees they're walking through the streets and it's bumping into him and shit. And there's the woman in the red dress. Like, that's what New York reminded me of. Like, tried and true. You know, got on the metro. I was like in a movie the whole time. You know, people were looking at me like, get the fuck out of the way. Get out of the way. I was like ordering a pizza. They're like, get out of the way. But it's different. It's different than out here.
You're writing a check.
It's different than out here. It was in like 2000, so you know checks were a thing. It's different than out here. Like out here, people are like, get the fuck out of the way, bro. Oh, get out of the way. Oh, as they're driving on their phone.
Yeah.
In New York, it was like, hey, get the fuck out of the way because they want you to move because there's a pulse, there's a beat. You know, you do it, you do it, you do it, you do it, and things move along. LA, like nothing moves along.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
some
slow
motherfucker,
town.
like, just when they pulled onto the freeway, they decided to stay in that lane.
That's where they
Just
are.
ride that lane out.
This is my spot. We got more space in LA too. That is not the direction I was expecting. My experience with New York is everybody looked like the Matrix because they were all like high fashion, you know, different. Like you walk down, there was not an ugly person. It looked like pretty people who were rich walking around being pretty and rich.
Whoa. Is it like that, Elias? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well, definitely not today. I mean, you see the most low-end fashion possible to like the most high-end. It's definitely more varied. But back then, yeah, that was true. I mean, I was even one of those high-end teenagers. You would think I would even have money, even though I was more dirt poor at that time. I just knew how to dress rich. But there's actually truth to what you're saying right there. So you're not off, just to say that you're definitely not off. So at that time, now people just wear whatever. I mean, some people want to look like they're $1 million. Some people want to look like they're 5 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Ugg boots and sweatpants.
yeah. And that's and I think a lot more people, especially in the Manhattan area, some just don't even care as much. Because back then, yeah, people just want to look like they were $1 million. They still got that, you know, fast pace. That's not going to die off. That's just New York spirit. I'm just going to say that's a New York essence. You just keep going, and once you hold something up, is get the fuck out of the way. You're just really in the way. As opposed to LA, I don't know much about, but I heard that they're much more slow, and I think that New York rage is gonna creep right up. They're gonna know I'm from New York.
So I'm out here doing acting, and I've got a few friends that are or acquaintances that are in New York, and they said it's quite different. They said that oddly enough in New York, people kind of take care of each other once you get into like certain groups. So like, let's say you're a bunch of gamers, a bunch of actors, or a bunch of whatever, like they'll help each other out. I don't know if that's true or
that's
not.
a misconception that New York gets. You're right. You're onto that. You just got to be in a good group. And yeah, you have to be in a certain group because if you're just on your own, then yeah, you'd be lucky to get help.
I've been told a similar thing about Los Angeles,
Yeah,
but
that was my experience.
LA seems to be like, oddly enough, you kind of have to you got to take some time to find that group. But before you do,
you're on your own.
You're really
and nobody's going to be your friend either. Like nobody. You're not going to make a friend.
Not unless they think you can. If they can get something from you, sure.
Yeah. No, if you got some money, you drive a nice car. Yeah. If they think that you're going to elevate them, they'll be your friend.
Right.
I don't know if that's true for New York, but that's definitely Los Angeles.
Oh, New York, we just less trusting. we just believe that you try to sell us some crap or whatever. I mean, we got like the worst. I mean, especially the first impression is bad. Forget it. We're just more on the defense. I said, is this guy's gonna sell me crap? Because there's a lot of vendors trying to sell you nonsense and bullshit. So we just definitely more guarded. But once that warms up and the rapport gets good, and then once you join that group,
then you're fine. Yeah. Well, so I mean, it kind of goes back to the question I was asking prior. Are you seriously considering maybe getting out of the city, or is that just something you've been, thinking about, or what?
I'm on a strongly consider to move out of the New York City. I've been trying to do it for 2 years. That's not worked out. It's always something my way. But I did talk about that in the podcast. I stopped talking about it because I just said, if people think I'm bullcrapping, I just let it die until it actually happens. I know how that is.
Yeah. I know how that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I
think it's easier to move out of New York than it is to move out of Kentucky. I do.
What are you trying to say? Kentucky's a better state?
No, I'm saying that it's easier to move out of New York because there's a lot more money. It's a lot harder. It's faster pace. It's like you kind of got to hustle a little bit to really make it in New York.
Just exist.
And in Kentucky, costs less. You got more room. Like this room that I'm in New York would cost you like what? How much a month? Like $5,000 a month?
Oh no, the average median price is like at least $3,000.
Yeah, three a month just for the room.
I call it a premium shoebox. That's how small some of the apartments are. All right, and it's not an exaggeration. I mean, go look in the market, right? Look at Zillow, look at Street Easy. Oh, you're gonna get your harsh reality check right there.
I'm also sitting on 15 acres, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's slower pace. The problem is, I'm gonna be so New York. People's gonna find out I'm gonna be so fast paced, just moving, and it's so hardwired. That's all. This guy's definitely not from around here.
Just slow down a little bit. I mean, even in Atlanta,
make you successful. Yeah.
Even Atlanta.
Oh yeah, Atlanta was slow. In my because I'm New York. We were just so fast. We get 1, 2, 3 done. Go. Instead of hi, how you doing? Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, sometimes just shut up. I don't. Yeah, I mean, some New Yorkers are into small talk, some are not. And me, that depends on mood. If I don't have time, I'm just gonna cut off shows up. I gotta go.
Yeah,
I gotta go. Bye. It was nice meeting you. Maybe.
I like that idea. I mean, going down to Atlanta, it's a lower cost comparatively. The weather's not as harsh, at least in the cold.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I do gotta pay attention to hurricanes and things like that.
It's not so bad in Georgia. I mean, Atlanta can get hit, but you are really inland. Yeah. It's not as you might get real big storm.
The hurricane.
No, you're not gonna get.
It was actually not normal for the hurricane to do as much to Atlanta this last year. That was kind of a fluke. Because the hurricane hit where I live in Kentucky, and there was a lot of damage here because of the hurricanes that went through. We lost power for 3-4 days.
That was all due to hurricanes?
Yeah, due to a hurricane. Yeah, the one that wiped out the I-40.
Now, did the hurricane actually hit, or was it the storms that blew off of the hurricane?
Well, it was the hurricane the remnants of the leftovers.
The
So
remnants
it's,
of, okay.
I mean, it's
So,
not a hurricane. It's like there's a name for
It's
it.
a really bad storm.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I mean is like when you're in Florida, you're getting bent over backwards by like
Sure.
feeder bands and the hurricane, you know, like the tidal surge.
Yeah,
But
the 15-foot
in
tidal
Atlanta,
surge.
you're not.
no
I don't know what
surge.
the elevation is, but
I think there's
you know.
flooding, but you're not underwater. It's not Moses.
yeah. Although they got couscous, man, and couscous smells bad. I'm just
I
saying.
like couscous. No, I don't like
Really?
couscous. You know what?
Ugh.
I don't like couscous.
Katsu,
It's
katsu,
one-
not couscous. Katsu.
It's. I still don't
Not
like
couscous.
couscous. I don't know why I don't like
Just
it.
saying, geez, man, so terrible. If anybody's
katsu.
watching us right now, sorry we're talking about food in Atlanta. That's where we have a few Twitch viewers right now. If you guys have any questions for Elias and his curious podcasting and such, please let us know. Yeah. So what are the questions we got? We're running up on about 2 hours, which is when we normally end.
I have
We have anything special going on?
I have one last question. It's important because I'm trying to relate this stuff to gaming. So, what do you think about a no X card, no holds barred, triggering on purpose TTRPG podcast? Would total tabletop role playing game fantasy? Is that something that you'd be interested in playing, or not?
Oh my goodness, I am not a nice person when it comes to triggered people. I'm just really not a nice person. I really got to work on, and especially as a spiritualist, I think I need to really work on that. Being really honest, especially like a no trigger tabletop
No,
podcast.
triggering intentionally triggering, like to trigger. Like the game is to be triggered.
That's my dark nature, bro. You flirt my dark nature right there.
Like beginning to end. What I'm saying is no X card, no holds barred.
Stuff. Oh yeah.
100%. The goal is to make the other players triggered.
Whoa.
That's something I could definitely do. All I gotta do is analyze, just learn a little bit about them, and now I just exploit their weaknesses. I mean, I even do that in a mobile phone game. I remember I talked to this one player from Afghanistan because he was complaining about how this person was cheating and all that, and I told him brutally, in a brutal, honest fashion, dude, shut the fuck up. No one cares about your emotions and your problems. People are just pretending to care. Unlike them, I'm gonna unleash them. I rip off the mask. I'm gonna tell you like it is. If it's in the game, it's not considered cheating. If it's in the game, it's not considered cheating. All you have to do is leave or beat this person and just make sure you block that person. All right, end of story. I don't need to hear about this. I want to have fun. If I don't care about my problems, I'm most certainly not going to care about your problem. All right? Yeah, I could get aggressive if I need to. Normally, I like to have fun, joke, say crazy things just to test the waters, see what's triggering, what's shockingly acceptable. Some things I say, some people seem to accept, which I'm shocked. Especially some of my Trump analysis. Some people were triggered, some people were. I mean, me, I have a mixed bag. I have a mixed opinion of Trump. Certain things I agree with him, and certain things I don't like. Obviously, the January 6th thing, I will strongly disagree with that guy. No. Big X. Big X. Very irresponsible.
Oh, it depends on. Yeah, it depends on, if you can, if he's honest enough for long enough to string a couple of words that are true.
I don't know. His honestly track record makes that best. So I'm not going to bet on that.
I think he would do better if he just said what he really felt. A lot of times, I think that one of his big issues is he and now that he's lame duck, he's not even elected. He's not even president. He's already lame duck. Maybe.
I mean, they're very slim majorities. I love how the Republicans get saturated by the figures. So you got slim majorities in both houses. I mean, you got like what? Yeah. Three. They got 220 seats. That's very small majority. All you need is about 3 Republicans to disagree, among with Democrats. That's it. And then in the Senate, only could afford how many? Well, would JD Vance be VP? Yeah, that's about 3. Yeah, that's about 3, 4. Yeah, so it's very slim majorities. It's not a mandate. It wasn't a blowout.
There's no mandate.
It's going to be a
low expectations that anything is going to happen. I mean, there's been a lot of fear in the media for sure of like, it's all going to change. I think he's going to try a lot of stuff, from shutting down the post office to, any number of things, but, mass deportations. But he does have.
That's not going to go through. I'm pretty sure about that.
Federal
judges will come right in, strike it down, unconstitutional. That's going to challenge the executive orders. Yeah, the executive orders.
Do you have any final thoughts, Bill?
It's been an interesting, rambling conversation, but I think we covered some interesting stuff, specifically about the kind of general attitude of some different places in the U.S. And I think there's a lot that we all agree on, in at the very least, that it'd be great if things need to improve in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's all good. Elias, anything? We usually give the last word to the guest. So you got an anecdote, a joke, a parable, something that you wanted to leave us with?
Well, this is not an original, but this is true to life. Expect the unexpected. That's all I'm going to say. Expect the unexpected, because we know Trump's first term. Those still curveballs. So expect the unexpected. That's all I'm going to say with that. It's not original, but I think it's truly applicable to this climate. And the shameless plug-in, check in on Politically High Tech. I'm a little hiatus, but we got 3 more episodes before we wrap up the season.
Yeah, right on.
We'll be next week. Yeah.
Ken has that up on the thingamabop. So if anybody wants to check it out, as you should, check out the podcast Politically High Tech. There's a dash, or is that a hyphen? High Tech.
Hyphen, yeah.
It's a hyphen. With Elias Marty. Dude, thank you very much for joining the Geeky Gamer Podcast and chatting with us for a little while.
Well, thank you for this unexpected, interesting conversation. I actually enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah, I thought you were great.
You did our job.
I was absolutely surprised and thought we would go in a completely different direction, but I was pleasantly surprised, and I thought it was pretty good. Thank you for joining the Geeky Gamer Podcast with hosts Ken and Bill. All lowercase letters. Mr. Interrupt supplied the music. Couchfire Media did this media production, and Trois Reblay Productions.
No, they were there
From 2018 to 2023.
23.
Did everything
on
else.
hiatus for a minute.
Whatever that is.
Shadows.
Who knows? Who knows? Thank you for participating.
See y'all.
Bye.